My name is Jose Castrazagi. I'm the CEO of Fancred.
Hey, I'm Landon. I'm the head of strategy and content. And I'm making noise. My apologies. And you can't see her, but right off over here, Shannon.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do really quickly is we have some pretty big changes coming to Fancred, and we wanted to take some time to share what those changes are and give you a sneak peek into the direction that Fancred's going in and give you the opportunity to even ask some questions for us. And I think periodically we'll actually start doing this more and more where we do live video chats and give you guys the opportunity to ask questions. But before we get into the grunt of it in terms of what the changes are, I wanted to just at a high level share a little bit about what it is we're building. At Fancred, I know we have a lot of new users that have joined Fancred over the past several days, just getting a feel of Fancred and how to use it. And so I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot as to what it is we're building, and if Landon obviously has anything to add, he'll jump right in. I think it really starts fundamentally with what we believe. And really what we believe is we think sports really unites people. We think sports becomes the fabric that brings together people around the world, where it forms really deep communities that has much more inherent importance than just a team that you like. We think that sports actually begins to become part of communities in a cultural sense, in a social sense, in an economical sense, and sports really begins to become part of who you are as a person. It becomes part of your identity. And I think that if you've been on Fancred long enough, you recognize people based on the teams that they like, and if a team wins or if a team loses, you immediately think of that person. And so I'm known as the Mississippi State guy, and that's part of my identity. And Landon is known as a Southern Miss guy and the Mariners guy, and that's part of who he is. And so really where we want to take Fancred is where people are creating profiles of themselves and capturing everything they do as a sports fan and really beginning to understand who they are as a fan, and it becomes part of their identity. We want your profile to be able to explain everything you do as a fan in terms of the teams that you love, the games that you go to, the opinions you have, and we want it to be sort of a badge that you wear very proudly, and that profile represents your entire life as a fan. And you can go into people's profiles and begin to see everything that they've ever done as a sports fan, whether it's going to games or just opinions they have about those games. And we've begun to see that. We've begun to see people doing that, and based on the things people share, a really deep sense of community begins to emerge. And so that's why when games are going on in Fancred, it seems like it's magic. There's all these people watching these games together and interacting with one another, and then going a level deeper into their profiles and trying to understand who these people are based on the teams that they like. And their experiences as a fan. And so that's where we're building Fancred. We want Fancred to be your profile as a sports fan forever. We want Fancred to be the way that you proclaim your sports identity, and we want it to really be a badge of honor for sports fans, where their Fancred profile truly represents them as a fan. And so we've been doing that for the past 2 years, and we're really excited about where we're taking Fancred in the future. And so up until this point, the way that you've navigated Fancred was a following system. You followed people, you got content from them, and then you had a bunch of people follow you. And we've been paying close attention to how people use Fancred and how people decide who to follow and who not to follow. And based on that, we've decided to make some changes that we think really will be better for the community and really how it mimics real life, a real life sports fan. And so let me explain what I mean by that. And so if you take a stadium, for instance, if you're going to a game, you generally go to a game with a small circle of people. Now, that small circle of people can be 2 people, it can be 5 people, it can be 20 people. But you're generally going to a game with a smaller, more intimate group of people, and these are the people that you do sports with. These are the people that you want to experience sports with. However, you're at the stadium with tens of thousands of other fans as well, and you have access to them, and you can communicate with them, and you can learn more about them, and over time maybe even add them to your group that you do sports with. But inherently, we believe that with sports fans, you grow up and you have a small, intimate group of people, and small can be variable. It can be 5 people, it could be 50 people. But you have a group of people that you really love to experience sports with, and we think that's your crew. And we've talked about this a good bit over the past couple of months, trying to prepare y'all for what's about to happen in Fancred. And every time we make decisions, we don't make them lightly. We want to make sure that we put a lot of thought into the decision-making process and the features that we add or how we change the product. So based on that observation, in how the most active people in Fancred, even if they have thousands of followers or tens of thousands of followers, they're really only interacting with a small subset of those people. Now, again, that small subset can be variable. It can be 5, it can be 10, it can be 100. But true interaction really happens with those smaller subsets of people. So moving forward, what you'll begin to see, hopefully over the next couple of days, if our friends at Apple go ahead and approve the app and get us out there, what you'll begin to see is we're moving away completely from the following model. When you join Fancred, you're not following anybody. No one's following you. However, we're adding something that we're calling crew. And so when Landon joins Fancred, he's going to add his crew to his profile. These are the people that he wants to do sports with. They could be friends, family, or someone he may have just met on Fancred. But it's up to him to decide who goes into this crew. We're not putting a limit on the number of people you can have in your crew. And so we're giving you the option to add as many people as you want to your crew as possible. But we think inherently the word crew suggests a more intimate group of people, right? And so what you see happening on Twitter or other social media or even Fancred, someone will follow you and you'll follow right back. But in sports, you may not have to follow right back, and you may not really want to follow right back. We think that adding someone to your crew should actually be earned over time. Is this person thoughtful? Is this person interesting? Is this person smart? Is this person funny? Do they add to your sports experience? Do they have a complete opposite view of sports that you appreciate? By adding them to your crew, you're allowing yourself to get content from them similar to the way that you do if you follow someone. So to recap, functionally speaking, there's really no major change. You can follow people by adding them to your crew. There's no cap as to how many people you can put in your crew. But we think sports is inherently a smaller, more personal and social aspect of your life, and you have people that you do sports with, and we want them all to be on Fancred. There are 500 million sports fans in the world that use their phone every day, and we want all of them to be on Fancred with their own crew. And so over the course of the next couple of days, you'll start seeing some changes as to when you go to someone's profile, you're not going to see following list, you're not going to see follower list, you'll see crew, and you'll be able to see who is in their crew. I'll let Landon jump in, and then the number that we want to focus on here is not the number of followers you have, but what is your Fancred score? And so after he jumps in, we'll talk about that.
So yeah, just to echo what he said, we've been talking about this for months, and what it boils down to is not taking anything away but adding. You know, to be honest, a lot of pieces of feedback we get when people join, they go, listen, there's a lot of interesting people on here. They're sharing a lot of interesting stuff. We had a guy send a message in the other day who was watching during the golf tournament. He goes, I'm seeing all these great posts in the golf feed and all these people. I just joined. I want to follow all these people because I love golf and so do they, even though I don't know 99% of them. But I only have 2 or 3 people who are following me back right now. He was very self-conscious about the follower to following ratio because following 100 people and only having 5 followers, it just didn't sit well with him. It wasn't a great first experience for his first few days on Fancred, and that's ludicrous. When you go, like Jose used the example of going to a venue. You know, I went to a football game a few weeks ago, and I went alone, and it didn't make me any less valuable because I got to watch the Seahawks in the NFC Championship, and I met the people in front of me, I met the people behind me, and to the left of me were Packers fans, but we still hung out. And it didn't matter how many friends I came to the game with or how many friends I had in real life. It matters what I did while I was there. So what this new change will allow people to do is to be themselves. They don't have to worry about some silly number that doesn't really represent who they are. We know this, and you know this as Fancreders. The number that represents who you are is your Fancred score. We track a lot of data to just see how we can make the app better. And what we see a lot of is a lot of the traffic that's driven to Fancred and our website and to download the app are people celebrating cred bumps. When people hit a 2, it's, oh my gosh, it's my first cred bump, I get to celebrate. Actually, the 1 is the first one people get, and then when they hit the 2, they're kind of getting what a cred bump is. And when we go and search on social and Facebook, and we search, how people were driven to Fancred, the Google searches, it's almost never, how do I get followers on Fancred? It's how do I get a Fancred bump? Show me Fancred bump gifts. And we started to look at this and go, this is silly. Why are we continuing to put emphasis on follower following when from the get-go the score was there? I'm looking at my profile right now on Fancred.com. and the score overlaps my face. That's how much of an emphasis this has always been, and so I think that these changes, when we first started discussing it, he can tell you, it was very loud in this room. We started to talk a lot about how this would affect this and that, so we talked to a lot of you guys, and 99% of you said, I'll be zero upset if you take it away, because it's all about the score. And we would actually spend most of the phone call talking with you. You were asking questions about how to get your next Fancred bump. And so it just further drove home the point of Fancred is about your teams, your moments, and the people you experience them with. And you can meet 10,000 people on Fancred, and a lot of you have, but you don't really experience your daily sports life with 10,000 people. It's more like 5 or 10 people. And so crew puts the emphasis on, if I like someone, I add them to my crew. I can add 5 people. I can add 5,000. It doesn't matter. You don't have to look at my follower-to-following ratio. I don't have to be concerned about how many people follow me because I just joined Fancred. It's about you. And that's what this app has always been about and will continue to be more about in the future.
One thing I want to make sure that I emphasize is a bunch of you guys are in the app, and I think it's hilarious, by the way, sort of bidding farewell to your followers, and that's funny. To emphasize and to repeat, you're not losing anybody. So here's literally what's going to happen when the next update comes up. When you update the new version of Fancred, when you go to your profile, anyone who was following you is now in your crew. Okay? Or anyone that you were following. Anyone that you were following is now in your crew. It is up to you if you want to decide to remove them or add new people. This is more so a feature and a tool that we think will help new people as they join Fancred. We're growing every single day. And we want new people to be able to feel comfortable enough to add people that are close to them to their crew, invite people to their crew, and we want them to find other people in Fancred and add them to your crew. We're not putting a limit in terms of the people that you follow, right? Crew equals people you follow. And so when you join, and if you were following 5,000 people, you have 5,000 people in your crew. It's up to you to decide if you want to eliminate anybody or if you want to add them. But inherently, we think that by using the word crew instead of follow, people will be a little bit more selective. It means that the people that you add to your crew are probably people that have earned it and not just a follow back. And so we think that this is going to make Fancred a much better overall community in the future. The team feeds will remain as they are. The team feeds will actually be more important moving forward. So if a huge game's going on like tonight with the playoffs, you can go into the team feeds and find people. But you don't have to add them to your crew to find content. Over time, if you want to add them, go ahead, add them. But again, it's really more about what the word crew means versus anything else. Functionally speaking, nothing is different. You can follow or add people to your crew, and it's up to you. And so moving forward, when someone joins, they're tasked with adding people to their crew, and what we're going to try to do is really celebrate and promote the people with the high Fancred scores. Over the course of the next couple months, you'll see us doing a better job of promoting great content and promoting people with high Fancred scores, because we ultimately think that's the number that matters. Your engagement as a sports fan, not just how many followers you have, but how active are you? You go to games. Are you live credding? Are you interacting with others? Those are the things that we think matter, and that's the direction Fancred's going.
Yeah, I think about, like, what if you bumped into someone? You travel a lot, and so do I, and I'll meet people in the airport or at the bar, traveling somewhere else. And if we get to talk about sports, I'll say who you're a team of, and they'll tell me who they're a team of, and we'll all kind of like prod them. When we meet people, we prod them a little bit to find out a little bit more about them. Okay, are they a huge fan or are they not? How many games have they been to? If I ask them who their favorite Mariners player is, and they say King Griffey Jr., maybe that's the only Mariner they know. Or maybe they're a diehard Mariners fan and he's their favorite Mariner of all time. But we start to dive deeper into who they are as a fan. And I think about, like, if I met someone in an airport and they're like, yeah, I'm a diehard Seahawks fan. Great. Tell me about your sports life. How many games have you been to? And if they looked at me and said, I have a lot of friends. Like, I have a lot of, and if they just kept repeating it, that's great that you have a lot of friends. But how many games have you been to? How often do you talk with the Seahawks? What articles are you reading? The same rolls over into this. If you just said to someone, well, tell me about your teams, and they don't have a lot of followers, you'd be tempted just to laugh. It's like, no, I don't care how many people, whatever. Like, you went to the playoff game. That's amazing. What articles did you read? What articles did you share with other people? What was your first moment as a Mississippi State fan or whatnot? That's what we're trying to get at. It's about who you are, and the things you were doing, the games you were watching, the articles you're reading.
And the people you do it with. So I'm going to go through, I know we have some questions. I'm going to go through, and I'm just going to just live on the spot go through some of these questions that I'm actually seeing in the app, and then Shannon, if there are others that we should know about. So Cody asks, so basically you're not going to show how many followers you have anymore and show how many people you follow, but change the name of crew. Yes. Crew represents the people that you choose to follow and get content from, and there is no limit to that. We will not show, however, how many followers you have. On your profile, you'll be able to go to see how many people are in your crew and how many people have added you. So you will get to see how many people have added you to their crew, but you won't be able to go to my profile and see how many people have added me to their crew, right? So this is going to get a little confusing, so let me just repeat. Crew equals the old how many people you followed. If you followed 1,000 people in the past, those 1,000 are in your crew. And that's the only number that matters, your crew. And in your own profile, you'll be able to see who's added you to their crew, but you won't be able to see that on other people's profiles.
Dylan Bledsoe also had a good question. Dylan asked, am I going to need to start making a list of all who I want to be in my crew, or will it give me suggestions based on who I was interacting with before the update? So again, to be clear, you're not losing anybody. If you're following anyone right now, they're going to be added to your crew. If someone's following you right now, you'll be added to their crew. There is no starting from square one. There is no recreation of lists or having to go back and find people. Everything is as is. It's just switching.
And to be fair, you can thank the rest of the team. I wanted to blow it up completely. I wanted to set it on. I wanted to reset it, and so everyone has 0 people in their crew, and it's up to you to decide. But for someone like, I don't know, for someone that's following 100 people or 1,000 people, it might get a little tedious. So the team talked us out of it. And so no changes. It's up to you moving forward, or if you go back through your crew feed and like, this guy has a score of a 4 and he's not active, he shouldn't be in my crew. Remove him. So your crew can be anyone that you know personally, anyone you've met in the app, or anyone that just joins that you think you're going to want to get content from them. So for instance, the Panthers are on Fancred. ACC Digital Network is on Fancred. Mississippi State is on Fancred. They're going to be in my crew because I want to see what they have to say, because they've earned that spot in my crew. And I'm not just following back because I think it's cool to do or because I want to do that. The only number that matters in Fancred is your Fancred score.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Andrew Terry just asked, I'm not able to watch this live. What is this new thing that makes us not need followers anymore? Along the same lines of, it's not that. It's more about creating the environment you want to create, not having to worry about who's added you or who's followed back. It's you and your crew. And so Andrew and anybody else who's watching live and might miss some of what we're about to say, we'll actually save this video and we'll stand it up on MakeGameDayEveryday.com so you can go back and watch this later on.
One other thing, let's just keep rolling, man. We're having a good time. Fancred is not turning into a private messaging app. So when I say it's you and your crew, don't start sharing deep, dark secrets on Fancred. This is the internet. So Fancred is a place where you experience sports. The way you should think about it is literally like you're going to a game with 10 of your buddies, or if some people that are really cool, they go with 100 people. And you're experiencing it with those 100 people intimately, but you have access to tens of thousands of other people. Unless you block them, anyone can see the stuff that you're posting. They don't have to be in your crew. So be aware of that. What's awesome about Fancred is that it begins to become like a family, and people begin to know each other, and they become real life friends. And there is nothing more gratifying than that for us to see. Nothing. However, we're not moving into a place where it's a private messaging app. This is a virtual stadium and your profile represents who you are as a fan. Everything you do in Fancred matters, and so we try to have everything go into your profile, into your team albums, and we're only going to make your profile even better. We're going to come up with cool stats on your profile, like where do you rank amongst other fans of that team in your Fancred score? How many games do you go to compared to other fans of that team? We're going to really move in that direction, but I just wanted to reiterate, this is not a private messaging app. You still have access to other people's content through team feeds. You just don't have to add them to your crew unless you want to.
You got some questions for us?
Some people had some questions about, so is this going to be super exclusive? which I think you touched upon. I think there was an interesting question from Tim on Periscope that I don't think is on Fancred, but asked, so what is the difference between Fancred and Twitter? Which I think is kind of an interesting question.
I'm going to answer that question. Here's the difference between Fancred and Twitter. In terms of social media, pretty much broadly speaking, all social networks, you're doing you're doing the same things roughly. You're posting, you're taking photos, you're taking videos, you're interacting with someone. Each social network tends to have that one thing that's differentiating about them, right? Twitter has the 140 character, Snapchat has the video that disappears, Instagram has the filters. On Fancred, we don't have that one thing you do, right? There's not that one feature that we have that's dramatically different than anything else. On Fancred, it's the aggregate of what you do that matters. It's the games you go to. It's the posts you make. It's the interactions you have that define your life as a sports fan. Your profile is what's different on Fancred versus Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any other app. Those apps are great, but you're not going to be able to go to someone's profile and in a matter of seconds understand their life as a fan. Understand the teams they love, the experiences they've had, the experiences they go through in their Fancred score. So what makes Fancred different? A, it's obviously sports only, but your profile is a collection of all of your actions versus a one-time action that seemingly disappears on other social networks. That's the major difference. I was pretty passionate about that one. Let's go. Keep on going.
Who you got?
Do we have any plans on a strategy to attract more writers and bloggers who regularly push out their own content? AJ Black. Yes. So today, the Fancred profile is very broad, right? So a regular fan's profile is pretty much, or literally, is the exact same as a team's profile versus a blogger's profile versus an athlete's profile. I think what you'll begin to see from Fancred over the course of the next several weeks and months is differentiated profiles. So if you are a blogger, your profile should look different than mine. It should have different stats than mine. If you're a team, your profile should look different than mine. It should have different stats than mine. And so by doing that, by offering a differentiated profile, I think that will attract more bloggers and content producers and teams and brands to join Fancred. If you're a brand, you should be able to do things on your profile that a regular fan like me can't do. That's where Fancred's going.
Yeah, and AJ was actually one of our first writers on Fancred. Complete stranger 2.5 years ago before we launched. Told him about what Fancred was. He, lives near Boston. Writes for bcinterruption.com, and so people like AJ, Patrick Schmidt, others. I'm going to forget people, so I'm just going to stop right there. Have been very helpful in saying, hey, this is what we're looking for as writers and journalists. Whether you're doing it for fun or for your actual career, or you're doing it for fun to turn it into your career. Same goes for teams. The Carolina Panthers joined 2 weeks ago. We'll have some really fun announcements with other partners coming up here soon. The goal is that every profile is unique for every person, and that also segments into media, teams, and even brands.
Another question someone just added, are you going to have different scores for different teams? Potentially. Right now you have one score, but you can imagine a day where you have a Fancred score for a certain team. So my Fancred score, like on my profile, right? I am a Mississippi State fan. I cry if Mississippi State loses. I don't cry if my other profile, if the other teams on my profile lose. Like, I want the Celtics to win, but whatever. I want the Red Sox to win. I'm a Mississippi State fan, and so my Mississippi State Fancred should be a higher score and more representative than that. So potentially we'll do that.
Yeah, and the A version of that, which I personally love, is on your profile. Your albums, and most people know this after, it's an intuitive thing after you get into the app for a few days. Your albums are ranked based on which ones you're the most active in. And when we launched that a few months back, it was kind of a wake-up call for some people who, declared to be a diehard Duke basketball fan, but hadn't made a Duke post in a month. I'm not picking on Duke. But at the same time, yeah, it'd be cool one day to have a score, but right now, it's about, people worry and have enough questions about their own Fancred score and how to increase that over time and sharing those moments. So we'll get to that when we get to that.
I saw a good one. Josh said, I hate it when people only post their articles and then leave. Then I think over time, if they'll understand that posting articles and sort of leaving and not having any context or no interaction is not good for their Fancred score, and people won't add them to the crew, and perhaps they'll change that behavior. I agree with you. Fancred is more about a community, but articles obviously make up that community, and bloggers do as well. Some bloggers kick ass and do a really good job. Others don't, and their Fancred score will reflect that.
Cody Fisher had a good question. It's a longer one. I'll try to truncate a little bit. You mentioned able being to see who's the top end of each team. Does that mean you will have separate? Oh, you did. Oh, sorry.
Separate Fancred.
Oh, God. That's how long your question was, Cody. That I forgot that he. Yeah. So, also to that point, I actually thought this was going in a different direction. I think that a lot of times there are people who kind of claim to be. When you first joined Fancred, I actually go back to day one. You could just follow certain teams, and we would put you up the ranks for certain teams' Fancred scores, even though you really didn't post about that team a lot. We'll be making new changes, there in the future. But blocking people is really easy. If someone claims to be a Duke fan or is, spamming the Duke feed and you don't like them, blocking is very easy. Also on here, you're not going to lose the ability when you go into a team feed to only view those people in your crew. So when you go into, let's just say, who's playing tonight? I guess the Braves are playing tonight. And you want to go into the feed and you want to find new people to add to your crew. But you go into the Braves feed and there's people who don't like the Braves and are saying bad things about the Braves. You'll have a crew option. You'll just tap that just to view those people. And that way, in a sense, you can see other people that you're currently following, obviously. You can switch back over to find new people to add to your crew so you filter out everything else.
The question coming in, how does crew affect my Fancred score?
Crew affects your Fancred score the same way in the past in terms of the number of followers that you had, number of following. However, here's a deep, dark secret. The one thing that affects your Fancred score more than how many people you add to your crew or in the past how many people you followed is the engagement. Meaning, when you post, are people responding to the stuff that you post? You could go in Fancred and make 1,000 posts. That's not going to impact your Fancred score as much versus making several posts that people actually find entertaining. So in Fancred, quality is the real determinant on what impacts your Fancred score, and that just means how many people add you to their crew, but how engaged do your posts become in terms of the votes and the commenting and the shares. Let's see. What else? What other questions do we have? Let's see. My crew will be larger than the crowd at this time.
Oh, Shaw.
Let's see. Is the algorithm going to change? Nope, not yet. Maybe it will. Maybe it will in the future, but not right now.
And again, the algorithm, when and if it does change, will only put more emphasis on who you are, the things that you're doing, the things that you're sharing. Again, when we first, when Jose first told me the idea about Fancred, the first thing that came to mind was people, sports media personalities who I don't think should have the paychecks and the levels that they do, because I've met people who, 24-year-old guy from Birmingham who writes about Alabama football on the side, who knows more than a beat writer at a major paper. And so the goal of Fancred has always been to showcase who you are and the things that you do, no matter the access you have, no matter your age, no matter your education level or where you're from in the world. Marcus is a great example. He's from Sweden, and he came in, and one night the NFL game was on, and he said, "I want to learn about the NFL," and I think it was a Falcons game. And he just started making posts and adding things, and no one looked at him and said, you're not who are you, or what influence do you have? What can you teach me? There was that community there of someone who was eager to increase their Fancred score by learning about a new team. And so again, any changes that are made in the future are just additional ways to capture that information, who you are as a fan, and showcasing it on your profile. You're so much more than just these two numbers of a follower following. You are the games, you are the photos, you are the posts, the articles, etc.
Kieran had a statement that I wanted to comment on. He says, My interpretation of this is that the word follower will simply be changed to crew, and you will no longer view the follower counts. I don't know if I'll be changing much with the people in mind. So, yes, with a slight correction. The people that you are following are now in your crew. So if you go to your profile and see how many people you're following, those are the people in your crew. The people that follow you will be on your profile as added, but you won't see that on other people. So you won't be able to go to on Landon's profile to see how many followers he has anymore, right? You're not going to go to see how many followers he has. You can go and see the number. You can go and see the people he has added in his crew. The second part that you say is, I don't know if I'll be changing much with the people in mind. Great. If you're happy with that, awesome. Nothing should change. This is a little bit more for people now joining. Some of the feedback that we've gotten is, my friends are on. My friends are huge sports fans, but I'm not. But they're not. They're not joining Fancred because the community's too big. That shouldn't happen. If you are friends with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other people that are diehard sports fans, they should be on Fancred. They shouldn't be too intimidated with this whole idea that there are, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are in this private little clique. That shouldn't happen. And so we want you, when you join Fancred, to be able to bring on people that are in your crew, that are intimate, that and then find others. But you start off with a good base of people that you're already familiar with, and it's not like you're walking into some big party when you don't know anyone. And I think that's been some of the things that we've been trying to overcome. When you join Fancred, there's a huge, active, and passionate community here, and it can become a little intimidating for someone that just joins while they're just beginning to feel it out. And so by doing this, what we're doing is allowing them to bring in their crew, become more acclimated, and then add others. And a great example of this is what happened with the Panthers. When they joined, you saw these Panthers fans joining, and they started adding people to the people that they interacted with, all Panthers fans. But now they're also interacting with NBA fans and MLB fans and interacting with the larger community. That's exactly what we think is going to happen moving forward. The biggest thing about Fancred, we obviously want it to be your profile, but the community matters to us, and this is in no way intended to hurt that, but in fact, I think the opposite, make it a lot better.
There's another question from Cody. Why don't you dig into that?
How do you plan to give us the ability to emphasize our favorite sports moments, games we went to, and maybe who we went to that game with?
Great question.
That's a great question. If you have an idea for that, you should email me, and we usually take people's advice. So I think there's a couple things you'll start to see. We'll always evolve the profile. And so perhaps there will be a shout out on your profile for the one event or the one thing that you did that got the most love, or the one thing that you did that sticks out the most. Those are things that we're gonna evolve into. I don't have a clear-cut answer for you just yet. Those are things that I don't know if Shannon's showing you the whiteboard. We're on this whiteboard every day. And we're trying to brainstorm. Don't show too much because you don't want to give away the secrets. But that's something that we're going to figure out how to do.
And think about what you can do right now. I went to the game the other night with my wife. I went to the Red Sox game. Their second home game of the year. I took a picture up from where our seats were. I checked in at Fenway on this post. I added my wife on this post. I tagged the Red Sox on this post. And so those are 4 big actions. So a check-in, a photo, tagging of a person, tagging of the team. And so my question is not, to Cody, I think this is perfect. And my answer is also in the form of a question. Not what can we add or what can we do. How can we make that process easier? So that when you show up at a game and you want to check in with your girlfriend or your best friend, it just happens more seamlessly. Maybe it's recognizing that you two are hanging out close together and you're probably at the game together. Maybe it's auto-tagging every post that you do throughout the game. There's a lot of cool stuff that we've talked about this year. And again, we told you this before, support@fancred.com. Support@fancred.com is something that Brent Bailey, who's not here tonight but is watching at home, checks religiously. And when you have feedback or when you have a question or when you find a bug, Brent handles that in almost instantly. And so when a lot of you guys go, I have this suggestion, I don't know, we want to hear it because you're using this app and you love this community as much as we do. We'd love your suggestions. I was at a game and I thought, maybe this could be easier to check in, or it's getting better about certain ways that we can experience games in person. But we love it when you guys are in the field, because lots of times when y'all are out enjoying the game, we're at home working, and we need you to shoot us suggestions or feedback about how we can make this better.
This is one comment from my boy Josh that I wanted to touch on a little bit. It might get a little bit serious, but I don't want it to. It's not my intention. He says, I would get my friends on here, but they probably talk shit more than I do. Here's my stance on that. Add them. Add them. If they are your friends and they experience sports with you, add them. They should be on here. Now, the part that becomes serious is to what level of shit talking does Fancred allow? And so here's my response. And we've had over the course of the past several weeks and months, as you've grown, as the community has grown, and as more people have joined, a bigger question has emerged as to what is acceptable on Fancred and what is not. Here's what I will say to that. We don't think very hard on what words you can say and what words you can't say. We don't think very hard on going back and looking at an individual post and trying to nitpick those words or nitpick the language. What I do look at is be a good person. And I know that sounds cheesy, and I know that sounds sort of cheeky, but we have guidelines that we want this community to be better than other communities. That doesn't mean you can't cuss, but it means you can't go to an extreme. You can't threaten. You can't belittle. You can't. You just can't be a douche. And I think most people. I'm the CEO of a company, and I just said douche. You just can't be a douche. And so at the point where we think someone is being that, we will take them down. Right? And so that doesn't mean you can't drop the F-bomb every now and then. There's this challenge we have with, we don't want to be the police of Fancred. We don't want to have to monitor every word you say. But we want to give people the ability to be free on Fancred and want to use it and not be threatened or not be worried that their post isn't smart enough or funny enough and people are going to come at them. And so if we see that happening, we will take you out. We will delete your post, we will delete your account, and we have a precedent of doing so. And so all I would say is don't be a douche. Use sports, talk trash, get into it, but there's a line, and I think every person knows what that line is. And we have, we have guidelines and we have policies, and go look it up. But if we feel like you're going overboard, we'll delete your account. And nothing's more important to us than the community. But if you have friends that you think you should that may talk too much trash, invite them. And it's up to other people to decide whether or not to add them to their crew or not.
I think that's the one thing that going into this we've been the most surprised about is not only are people better than you think they will be, but the community will take care of itself. It's not fun to police, because then it's just, you feel like you're just being watched like a nanny. Again, a great comparison is a baseball game. What would get you kicked out of Fenway Park is probably the same thing that will get you kicked out of Fancred. And we've done this very little. I honestly can't remember the last time we've really shut down an account. I can vaguely remember when we've had to delete a post or two for breaking the rules that was obvious. And in every case, it was someone who was on Fancred who caught it instantly, who pinged us and said, you need to check this out. If it will get you kicked out of a baseball game, it will get you kicked off of Fancred. And so most people are great, and most people don't have to worry about it.
One other thing that someone said something. Can you still block fools? Yes, you can block people. The block is also, it's not to be used as a weapon necessarily as much as it is a shield. You can use the block as you see fit. I sort of think sometimes people go crazy with it, but it's up to you how you want to use the block button. I hope the team feeds play more of a role in the update. That's not enough. Yes, team feeds. So again, crew inherently means a smaller, more intimate, or more valuable group of people. You have to earn the nod to be in somebody's crew versus like this random person just joined and I'm going to follow them. So we're hoping that people think about that. You can have 500 people in your crew, 5, 1,000, however many people you want. But because inherently it means a smaller group, the team feeds are actually going to play more of a role. When a game's going on, go check out the team feeds and find people, interact with people. And if you like them, add them to your crew. If not, troll them and walk away.
Lucas, we'll do a couple rapid fires. Lucas, will crew option be within the team feed to avoid spam on the site? Yeah, it will be. On the website, it won't be coming as soon. But right now, if you go to the site, just click, whoever you're following. Don't view the all, just view who you're following. James Stone, how do you start a crew? It's already been started, buddy. When we make this switch, anyone you've ever followed will be in your crew.
Invite your friends, too.
Invite your friends.
Invite your friends.
And that's the thing. This is going to be, and you guys have seen it in the upper right-hand corner, it's a button. You tap it, and it pulls up your friends list. And you can just tap whomever you want to invite. When they join, they'll be added to your crew.
This is a good question. As Fancred continues to grow, how do you monitor the content posted is related to the overall meaning of Fancred? So this is a tricky question to answer and actually a tricky thing to figure out. What happens if someone comes in and starts posting non-sports related content? In the past, it mattered a lot simply because everyone's following each other and people will get upset and leave. And now with the whole sort of crew thing, we think there will be less and less on that. However, Fancred is a sports app. And one thing that I love about what we've built and the community that's on here is that sometimes sports bleeds into other parts of your life, right? And so you're at a restaurant and you're eating a hot dog and you're like, oh, I'm Team Ketchup, and you post it. Like, that's somewhat sports related, and so it belongs in Fancred. My stance on it is this: is that I don't want to go through people's posts and determine if that's sports related or not. I don't want to do that. And so the people on Fancred will determine if your profile in the stuff that you post is worthy of their interaction or worthy of having you added to their crew. If your stuff sucks, if you're adding stuff that's not sports related, if you're doing things that generally aren't to the essence of Fancred, people will either block you or report you, or you won't have any interaction. And so I want the community to decide that, not us.
Remove them from your crew. If they posted it, we all have those days, right? And some stuff is lame, and some stuff 2 years ago today, the marathon, was a day of very much not really sports related stuff that, in my opinion, was one of the greatest days on Fancred, because we use sports in a way to cope with a tragic day here in town. I mean, our office is, a lot of you watched the live stream today, we're 2 blocks from the finish line, and so Father's Day, the first year of Fancred, we talked about our favorite moments with our dad and how our dad might have introduced us to sports, and so that line is so blurred. If you don't like what someone's posting, remove them from your crew. If they post about it too much, enough people will unfollow them to where no one's voting on their post and their Fancred score drops, and that's literally the worst thing that could happen to a person.
Someone said, "Can we bring back FCAD?" And so this is the thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, with crew and the way that things are moving toward, again, you can post, I guess, what you want to post, and it's up to people that see it to decide whether or not to interact with you. Largely speaking, we want sports stuff on here, and I know that's broad, right? So if you post a picture of a cheerleader or a picture of you eating at a sports bar, or if you post a picture of an athlete you meet, is that sports related? Sure, it's sports related, but don't be a douche.
B. Mason on Periscope asked if there's an easy way to clear out crew and start over.
Email me and we'll do it in the back end. Here's a great question by Mr. Alex Morgan that I think really needs attention. One thing I've noticed is that if you make a post under a feed you're not a fan of, you have to peruse that feed long enough to find your post, or you can add them to your feed for a second. I think it would be a solid tool to add a post by you to the feeds rather than having to use the aforementioned options. All right, so let me talk to that. In the past, we spoke about the feeds as community feeds. Mississippi State feed is the Mississippi State Communities feed. And Southern Miss or Red Sox, it's only for people that are posting or that are fans of that team. The challenge, however, with that is that when a game is going on, sometimes people are making posts about other teams they're not a fan of and they don't have nice things to say. Should that be banned from Fancred? I don't think so. So today we have 2 tools on the team feeds. One, an option so you can just get content from the people that are in your crew. Or 2, what everyone is saying. Team feeds moving forward are forums about where the topic is what people on Fancred are speaking about those teams. The Panthers do not own their team feed. Auburn does not own its team feed. Ravens do not own their team feed. A team feed is where you can go to see what people are saying about that team. That's it, right? And so some of the things you'll like, some of the things you won't like. Over time, as communities for these teams grow, we think that the positive will outweigh the negative. You'll have more you'll have more real fans of that team on that feed interacting. So no team owns that feed. It's just a way to get information. Now going back to your question about is there a way that you can see posts by you potentially in the future. But team feeds are open for the world. If a game's going on, I want to tag it Bulls, I'll tag it Bulls. And if you're a Bulls fan, maybe I won't say nice things, or maybe I won't think D Rose is playing really well. You shouldn't get upset because you don't own that feed. It's where I can go to see conversations about that team.
Scott Devereaux asks, is there a way to get access to personal stats on Fancred? Examples: average upvotes, downvotes, comments per post, most interactive crew member, etc. All of that you just typed is beautiful. And yes, we will be working on things like that throughout the year. It's not something we'll have in the next update, but Scott hits on exactly what we're talking about tonight. Your sports life is about you and the people you're with, and there's so many numbers to care about. How many games in a row have you gone to? What is your average upvote? How many comments do you get? Because what a lot of you have found is you have strengths. Some of you find interesting gifts. Some of you find interesting photos. Some of you make funny comments on our posts. And some of you are just good at everything. But a lot of you have learned to play to those strengths, and you take amazing photos on game day and you add them to this album, and people go through and upvote them all. We want to dive deeper so that you can better showcase kind of what you're good at as a sports fan and the areas that you excel, but also just to give you insight to your sports life so that you can flip back to last week and relive that game right inside the app.
This is honestly more entertaining than anything on TV right now. Thanks. Anything else? We've been doing this for an hour. They got to be tired of this by now.
There's a lot of questions not relating to crew.
Okay, let's answer them.
So like Mondo asked, can a score go back to 0?
Yes.
Cool.
Overtime. So yes.
It would take you being an awful fan, Mondo, which you're not.
Also, someone asked about. They had a couple questions about live streaming and video. And stats to profiles, like how many upvotes you get. People are asking about like feature requests, like that.
Yeah, moving forward, there's going to be a lot of changes on the profile in terms of the things that we try to bring out and showcase about you. So everything from the amount of stats you have in Fancred versus the games you go to, or maybe even consecutive games you've gone to. A lot of things that we can do that I think will be able to differentiate fans from one another on their profile.
Oops. Sorry, Periscope went down.
Anything else? Did we cover everything else?
We covered a lot. Looking to see.
Are we ever gonna? Okay.
A lot of you guys have asked great questions, and many of them are kind of a form or another of other questions we'd asked, or we had been asked and we'd already answered. So maybe you didn't show up, or maybe you were typing the same question as someone else at the same time. We'll have this video, and I'll share a link later on when we're done. You can go back and watch the entire thing, and kind of cherry pick out what parts you like.
Yeah, it says is email. Yeah, email is the best way to contact us. Email me, Landon, support. We try to be really on top of it. And yes, FCAD is a word. It's not FCAD. It's FCAD, and it's been a topic of discussions for us for the past few years, more so than I'd like to admit. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. So I just want to reiterate. This release is hopefully going out this week. It's only for iPhone first. The next question is, why isn't it for Android? And that's a good question, and that's a question we should be asking. We have 11 people. We have 11 full-time employees, and so with resources like that, you have to pick and choose. So we don't have the ability to build for both at the same time. So it's not that we hate Android users. It's none of that. We just have 11 full-time people. And so we built for iPhone, and we're going to turn around and build it for Android. So it's going to be a couple weeks. Bear with us. So Android people, you're not going to have crew yet. You're going to have following. iPhone people, you're going to have crew hopefully sometime this week. But that is coming. But that is the only reason. There's no other conspiracy theory. That is the only reason. We're just a small company, and hopefully we'll get big one day, and we'll have resources to build at the same time. But today we don't.
And it will change. I mean, in the sense of your experience, just because you're on Android doesn't mean you can't be added to someone's crew. You'll be able to. You'll just have an experience a little bit different for a few weeks, and then we'll fix it. But there's a lot of great questions here. It's been a long time since we've done a live cred up. I'd like to do one again in the near future. If you have any suggestions, shoot me an email, landon@fancred.com. Maybe it's once every so often we meet and do Q&A, or we discuss other things. But yeah, give us feedback. Support@fancred.com for any technical questions or any issues you're experiencing, or any suggestions you have about how to make your Fancred experience better. Feel free to email me, Landon@fancred.com, about thoughts about future credits that we could do and topics we could discuss.
All right, I'm going to end. Hopefully the release will come out sometime this week. What you guys may not know is that a lot of times it's not even up to us. It's when you submit it to Apple, they approve it, and then they flip the switch. So hopefully it'll be sometime this week, if not later. But we'll let you guys know. Again, crew equals the people that you are following. It's the people that you are following. And when you go to someone's profile, you'll see their name, you'll see nothing changes except you'll see whether or not they're in your crew. And then you can click on their profile to see the people that they've added to their crew. But there's no more number of people that they're following or the followers that they have. That's the only change. Hopefully you won't notice anything crazy, but inherently I think it'll suggest smaller groups of people coming in, joining together, and that expanding over time. You were laughing, so there's a question.
No, I'm just laughing at China Bassin Chat something. Said I can't wait for the update description.
There's always something hidden.
This guy does it. This guy right here.
So thanks again. Shannon put this on tonight. She's literally been the person behind the camera who helped put this on. Thank you for showing up. We'll definitely do it again. I think we got a couple memes out of tonight, a couple catchphrases that we'll be hanging on to for a while, even if we don't want to. I'm being tagged in a lot of posts, and I do not make for a good screenshot. I'll tell you that much. So thanks again. We'll post the video here in a little while.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, also, if Tim is still on Periscope, didn't